Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here. Welcome to 60 and Me. Hope that you're having a great day, that you started off feeling positive and strong and just got something wonderful planned for yourself for today. But I'm starting my day as I always do with a cup of tea. I've got my apuka or pucka tea. It's lemon ginger with manuka honey. And I love ginger in tea, just raw ginger. But this one, they put it in a packaged tea with ginger and manuka honey, lemon. Perfect. So I've got it in my very favorite mug of all time. I'll show you. I've got the tea bag still there. Yeah, isn't that cool? I love this mug. I bought it in a little shop. It was actually changing the seasons, so it had all these beautiful little cups on sale. Anyway, there it is. Beautiful. I love it. Anyway, a cup of tea for me in the morning is just kind of the way that I start the day. Simple pleasure, simple taste, gratitude for all the things that I have in my life. And, just having a nice little cup as well makes a big difference. And maybe you've got a mug that's got some significance. But I actually have a saucer for this cup. I've got to show you this saucer too because it's so cool. Isn't this okay? Ta-da! Isn't that cool? It's just a really nice set, and I just enjoy having a cup of tea from it. So hopefully you've got a cup of tea too, or a coffee, something that you love. And thank you for being here. Thanks for your company. Now, I've got a topic today that I wanted to chat with you about because it's one that over the years has been a little bit controversial in terms of the topic itself, and also we've all tried to do it to an extreme in one way or another on a spectrum, and that is this whole thing of multitasking. Now, if you are a mom or you're in a caregiving situation or just living life, I guess, in this beautiful, crazy world, we do multitask. We try to do two things at once all the time, or more than two. As a mom, you're kind of cooking the food, holding the baby, talking on the phone, thinking about tomorrow's dinner or doctor's appointment or whatever. And we somehow feel like we're a failure if we don't do all that stuff. But one of our bloggers, Noreen Kolsar, wrote an article which is multitasking in your 60s and sort of looking at some scenarios where it's okay to multitask. Now, I said controversial earlier because a lot of people have come out in the last few years saying you cannot multitask. Your brain physically can't do two things at once. But Noreen specializes in brain health, and this is her topic of interest, and she put some research together and pulled this article together for us, saying that there are some situations where you can multitask, and it's just combining them in a way that works. Now, she actually says an interesting fact here that allegedly Leonardo da Vinci, the great artist, was able to paint with one hand and write with another. They could actually do those two things at once. And apparently there are letters, you can see them in museums that show that he did do this. And so that he was capable of multitasking. And that is very, very unusual. But according to Noreen, and I found this quite fascinating, this article, that we actually can multitask. And the secret is, as I mentioned earlier, matching or mapping it to two activities that are not related. I'll tell you how that means, what she talks about here. Basically, our brain is pretty amazing anyway, and so we're all trying to learn a little bit about it. But here's the 4 multitasking scenarios that Noreen talks about, and how you can achieve this kind of multitasking in certain ways. So the brain, of course, has areas of specialization. So there's parts of the brain that are responsible for different things. So there's a part of your brain that's responsible for like numeric, like counting. And then there's another part of the brain that's thinking about creativity and, planning and different things like that. So the truth is you cannot do two things that are in a different category. Or there are two things that are overlapping. So she gives an interesting example here. When you are walking, you can be listening to a book, or you can, be, thinking about your dinner for tomorrow. You could be counting the number of steps you're taking while reading a book or thinking about something, a planning exercise. And the reason for that is that, that's different parts of your brain. Now, if you, for example, try to count the reps, like the number of steps you're taking, while you're thinking about the number of people that are coming to the dinner that you're planning tomorrow, You can't do that because that's two counting exercises, and those two exercises are contradictory. You can try to do it, but it will, the brain will literally jump from one to the other because that's what it has to do. It's really, really interesting. And so basically what you can do is while you're practicing a hobby, maybe you're knitting, you can also listen to music, or you can go for a walk and listen to a podcast. Those are two different activities that you can do. Really interesting. Another thing we can do is with an action that's really well practiced. So say, for example, we are a good knitter, that we knit really well. Well, you can do these kinds of things on autopilot. I mean, I know, people that can basically watch the TV and knit and, two different things, no problem. I mean, I actually even look out the window on a train while I'm knitting and take in the view of what's going on around me while I'm knitting. So that's that. So you can knit and carry on a conversation, or knit and watch TV. But think about kids when they're learning stuff, though. Unless you know how to do this thing, like in your sleep. For example, I watched my little grandson Max putting on his shoes. Now, he doesn't have laces yet because he's only little, but he knows how to pull the Velcro across. And he sits there with, oh my goodness, complete attentiveness, getting that little strap across. But if you say to him, Max, do you want a banana? He immediately stops his shoes and he's like, yes, the banana. He can't do, thinking about the banana and thinking about some other activity, eating, while he's doing his shoes, because he hasn't learned that shoe exercise by heart. But as soon as you've learned an exercise by heart, you can do other stuff. So she says, for example, if you're if you're folding laundry, which I never do, if you're folding laundry, you can make a phone call at the same time. You can multitask in doing that because you know how to do this other thing so well that it's second nature. It's really, really interesting. Now, another thing that she says, and this is a good one for women over 50 and in our age group, is if you're doing exercise, for example, that involves movement, you can combine movement with thinking. So if you are on the elliptical machine, or if you're doing some yoga or whatever, you can be doing that physical exercise and multitasking by thinking about something, a decision you're trying to make, or a conversation that you had with someone. You can do those kinds of thinking exercises if you are moving. So there you go. So you can actually not justify not exercising anymore because you have to do this planning for a meeting, or you have to memorize something. You can do that. If you are moving, that's one part of your brain, and then the other, planning or thinking, is another. So you can multitask there. It's really interesting. Now, doing housework, for example, turns the brain. So you can do your housework and then do that with one side of your brain or part of your brain while you're planning, the meal, what you need to go to the shop and buy for dinner that night. So that's another thing. The final one of these four kind of scenarios for multitasking is to do two tasks when one involves creativity. So this is where you are, for example, again, you could be doing something creative like painting or writing something down, or just walking out in the world, watching nature or making some observations. And then if you see something else happening that is a creative thought, you can have that thought as well while you're doing this other activity. Perfect example that she gives is the man who discovered Velcro. This is a really bizarre one, but he actually apparently was walking out in the world, and these little what do you call them? Like little buds that have prickles on them. There's a word for them. I've forgotten, but it's a word that a little thing from nature, like a little bead or a seed or something that has prickles on it that sticks to your clothes, like a burr. That's, I think, what they're called. And so he saw these burrs sticking to his coat while he was out walking, and his creative mind said, oh, that's really interesting. What if I was to create something that would stick two pieces of material together using that same kind of sticky burr-ishness? So that's another scenario where you can actually use a multitasking mindset, which I think is cool. So you don't have to freak out if you're trying to do two things at once, as long as they're things that complement each other and free you up to to do one well, to do them both well. You can't, like I said, you can't count two separate lists because that would just make your brain, freak out. It's very cool. And we're in a hurry these days. We're always trying to do multiple tasks and get things done. And I think it's important to not get frustrated by trying to do too many things. Doing one thing at a time is probably in many ways a good idea. But if you're trying to do double up on things, get the laundry folded and make the phone call, you can do it. It can be done. Your brain can take it. So thanks, Noreen, for this article. I thought it was quite fascinating, and our brain is an amazing instrument anyway, and I think any conversation about it is good. But the basic thing here, that physical movement is good, a good opportunity for multitasking. So no excuses for the exercise, and I say this to myself, hands up. Anyway, love, hope that you have a great day, everybody, that you put some of this into action. And I would like to ask you, do you have any tasks that you actually do put together? Like you always do this task while you're doing another one that you combine? Let us know what you think about this topic. I'd be really, really interested. And was there a time when your efficiency actually improved by doing these two tasks? I think it'd be a really fascinating conversation. Anyway, I hope that you're having a wonderful day and that you're doing something that maybe multitasking right this moment. You're watching me and you're writing down a list of things to do at the shops today. There you go, multitasking in action. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thank you so much for your support. Go out and visit our website, 60andme.com. I really would appreciate your feedback and your support out there. And tell us, what kind of tasks do you tend to do together? How do you multitask? Have a wonderful day, everybody. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye for now.